Hi, everyone. My name is Pam Parish, and I'm the founder and the CEO of Connections Homes. We are a Georgia-based nonprofit that started 7 years ago in 2014. And I want to share just a little bit with you about what we do, who we are, and how we got started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and share a PowerPoint with you. So Connections Homes really started out of the story of my family. This is a picture of our family in 2019 and Easter. It was the last time that we really had most everybody together. My husband, Steve, and I have 8 young adult daughters. One of our daughters came to us through the gift of birth, and 7 came to us through the gift of foster care and adoption, with 5 of our girls coming to us after the age of 18, which is why we started Connections Homes. Connections Homes really started to address the problem of 21,000 youth every single year in the United States who age out of foster care, leaving a system that's totally built around creating dependence and suddenly one day becoming independent, totally out on your own, without the support of family who can help you navigate life. Now, I know I'm talking to a room full of young adults who understand that you still need your family when you're in college. You still need somebody to call and talk to, someone who's going to send you those cookies or somewhere to go home and do laundry. And for 21,000 kids every single year in the United States, they don't have that. We started in Georgia to really address in our home state the 700 youth who age out of foster care every single year. So what happens to a young person when they leave foster care without a safe and stable support system? Well, statistics tell us that 71% of girls become pregnant by the age of 21. 50% of those girls' children will end up back in care. Just think about that for a second. If you have a child and you're totally alone in life, what are you going to do when your job doesn't let you call in sick, but your baby's sick and you don't have grandma or aunt or uncle or anyone to step in the gap for you? Well, ultimately, you're going to end up in crisis. And a lot of these girls just simply in crisis have their children back in foster care. 81% of boys will be arrested and spend some time in jail. Most of the time, it's for survival crimes. When you're hungry, you're going to do what it takes to eat. And 97% of youth who age out of foster care without a safe and stable support system will end up in chronic poverty or worse. Less than 3% of youth who exit foster care ever go on to get any kind of living wage education, whether it's trade, school, or even a 4-year degree. But why is 18 too late to have a family? We don't believe it is, and we believe that connection to a safe and stable support system really does prevent these youth from falling off a cliff into poverty and homelessness after exiting care. So we created a choice-based matching model for youth who are coming out of care who are between the ages of 18 and 24. And at the core of that choice-based matching model is that every youth deserves the dignity of being given a voice and a choice. If there's one thing that's been taken from kids who have spent most of their childhood in foster care, it's the ability to choose. Their family has been chosen for them. Their schools have been chosen for them, everything. So we give youth a voice and a choice. They choose whether to become a part of our program, and they actually get to choose their mentoring family. So for our choice-based matching model, it's based on 5 key areas. One, we partner with churches and the local community who help us identify connection-ready youth and mentoring families. Both the mentoring families and the youth are taken through a certification process that really looks at lifestyle, personality, key demographics, and proximity. Where do they live? Out of that, a discovery profile is generated, which is the story of the youth told in their own words and the story of the mentoring family told in their own words. With those discovery profiles, our relationship managers use that to make a match. So they match youth with mentoring families based on lifestyle, personality, and key demographics, and proximity when possible. We live in Atlanta, and that's where most of our work is done. So proximity is pretty important, because depending on where you live, it could be an extra hour to get to someone. So we do look at that demographic. But before we get into the matching part, which is where you come in, I want to talk about the outcomes of our model. Connection makes a difference. Less than 5% of girls connected to a mentoring family have become pregnant since being connected. And of those who came into our program already pregnant or parenting, 100% of them have maintained care and custody of their children. Less than 1% of boys connected to a mentoring family have had any interaction to a law and with the law, and 93% of connected youth are working on completing their education. Most of them still working on completing a GED or a high school education, but 53% are pursuing post-secondary or skilled trades. We're pretty proud of that number. So we have a strategic plan. When we started in 2014, we didn't know that we were the only organization in the United States to do this work with this population at these ages. So part of our strategic plan is by the end of next year, we'll be statewide in the state of Georgia. This year in June, we launched our first replication into Dallas, Texas to address the 1,200 youth who age out every year in Texas. And by the end of next year, we will have a national strategic plan, which helps us get to a national rollout with our hope of matching 10,000 youth to mentoring families by 2030. And that brings us back to our choice-based matching model. One of the things that we've done as we've created this process is a lot of our matching is done intuitively. It's done by the relationship manager based on their relationship with the youth and their families. But as we grow and scale, one of the things we're realizing is that that can become myopic. And what I mean by that is that we have relationship managers that serve in regions, and regions can butt up against one another. And you may have a really qualified family that's 5 miles away, but in another relationship manager's portfolio. And you're searching for a great family for a youth, and you don't realize because it's not a family that you're in relationship with that there's a good match available. So one of the things that we would like to do is to create a matching algorithm that takes all of the lifestyle, personality, demographics that we do collect already from both our families and our youth and aggregates them and presents our relationship managers with the best match for the young people so that they're really looking at our families holistically. And we believe that that is one of the key things that's going to help us get to this 10,000 number, that you and the work that you could possibly do on this project would impact over 10,000 lives by 2030 and many, many, many more in the future. So just to briefly talk about our current technology stack, we use Airtable. And Airtable functions on something called Bases, but it's really a marriage. Airtable is a marriage of kind of a relational database and Excel. So it's comfortable for people who can work in both environments. Our relationship managers work in Airtable to track mentoring families, youth, matches, activity, all of that. We use some different APIs to bring our different forms and data automatically into Airtable. And what we would really like to do is to take advantage of the Airtable API to build a matching software that plugs in, that helps to aggregate this data into a matching output. So when a relationship manager has a youth who's ready to match, they just click a button and all of a sudden the best families that match that young person are presented to them for them to review their discovery profiles. This is really going to help our relationship managers as they support our youth to, one, make sure they're presenting them with the very best families to choose from, and two, to support them on an ongoing basis. Our relationship managers support them over 12 months. So we want to build that foundation right at the beginning of having a really good match so that that foundation over the next 12 months is more about relationship and not about our differences. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and just say thank you so much for considering this project. And my team and I would love to work with you and just share with you all the unique stories of the youth and families that we serve, and be able to build this tool that can really help our organization scale and change the lives of thousands and thousands of youth across the United States. Youth that are your age, that many of them aspire to do exactly what you're doing. The last thing I'll say is to say that we're not married to Airtable per se. It works great for us. It is our third technology solution for the work that we do. Salesforce could be an option. We're a small team, so we haven't had the capacity to use the free Salesforce tool and configure it to our needs as an organization. So we're perfectly willing to look at that. And we're super excited to work with each of you. Thank you so much for everything you do and for considering Connections Homes.